Good morning, dear students. Today we are discussing the topic Pila globosa, which is also called as apple snail. As it's a huge topic, I have divided this topic into four parts, where the part 1 will be the systematic position, the natural history, the habit and habitat, the morphology, and the pallial complex. The part 2 will be dealt with the digestive system and the respiratory system of Pila. The part 3 will be discussed on the nervous system and its sense organs. And finally, the part 4 will be discussed upon the reproductive system, that is the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. The part 1. As you know that Pila globosa, which is also known as apple snail, is one of the largest freshwater molluscan and which is commonly found in freshwater bodies such as ponds, pools, tanks, lakes, etc. And many a times Pila is more restricted to the paddy fields, especially the rice growing areas where the streams and rivers are also involved, as they occur in those areas where there is a large amount of aquatic vegetations, where Vallisneria and Pistia, which serves as the food of Pila. As Pila is amphibious in nature, it is adapted to live its life in two conditions, just as water and on land surfaces. The animal is creeping very slowly by its ventral foot muscular mass, which is having a speed of about 5 centimeters per minute. So the movement of the animal is like the gliding movement of a planaria. During the rainy seasons, Pila comes out of the ponds and make long terrestrial tours. Such tours are worked out by respiring the air directly. It can overcome a long period of droughts in a dormant condition and buried in the mud. Thus, the period of inactivity is called as the aestivation, or is also called as the summer slip. Sometimes it can be also referred as a hibernation period. Apart from this, we have to look after the systematic position of Pila. So as Pila belongs to class Gastropoda, its order is Prosobranchiata, phylum Mollusca, class Gastropoda, order Prosobranchiata, suborder Pectinibranchiata, family Piliidae, genus Pila, species globosa. The natural history of Pila. As Pila has a worldwide distribution, but especially it is found in the Oriental and Ethiopian realms. The Oriental realms or regions include India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and various regions of the oriental regions, apart from which the Ethiopian regions which are included like Africa, Arabia and Madagascar. Pila globosa is the common species which is usually found in the northern parts of India. Hence, it is commonly known as the apple snail. The habitat, as we have explained earlier, Pila is a freshwater molluscan where it lives in the freshwater pond or the freshwater bodies, and which is most restricted to the rice field areas. It prefers a very clean water having a very soft and succulent vegetation such as Vallisneria and Pistia, which is one of the major chief resources of its food material. The habits: Pila is a herbivorous in nature, creeping very slowly with its large foot. Proverbial Pila's space covering more than 50 millimeter in a minute at a full speed, as it is an amphibious animal. Digestion is partly and partially intracellular. Respiration is with the help of gills when it leads aquatic life, and the respiration is with the help of lungs when Pila leads a terrestrial life. When disturbed, it withdraws itself into the shell and closely and closes its lids. It can withstand a very long period of drought by remaining dormant very tightly within the shell, buried in the mud, what, as I said, is referred as the summer slip or an aestivation period also, where the sexes of Pila are separate and the breeding takes place in the rainy season, and the fertilization is especially the internal fertilization. The morphology of Pila, where the external features of Pila, that is the shell of Pila, as the shell is the outermost covering of the body, which is somewhat globular in form, around 60 millimeter wide with a lemon yellow in coloration. It is univalve and unilocular and having a long hollow cone wound or formed in a very close spiral around a central axis called the columella. The various coils of the shell are termed as the whorls. There are 3 to 4 whorls in all, where the larger, as the Pila grows bigger and bigger, so the first layer comes to the top as it's the oldest body whorl. The top of the shell is called as the apex. The lowermost whorl is the largest and is known as the body whorl. And the whorl next to it is called as the penultimate whorl. The body and the penultimate whorl, except the body whorl, is called as a spire. The lines of the contact between the two adjacent whorls is called as the suture. The surface of the whorl is marked by a faint vertical ridge, which is also known as the lines of growth. A few of the latter are more prominent and are called as varices, representing the seasonal cessation of shell secretions or regarded as the growth. At its anterior end, what is the mouth of the shell is the shell opens out by a large lunate oblong aperture, the mouth, which is having a margin on the mouth, is called as the peristome, and the entire region has two lips, a concave inner lip and a columnar lip and a convex outer lip. If the shell is held with the apex away from the observer, the mouth is towards the right. The shell of the pila is known as the Dijkstra cell. So far as 95% of pila shows a Dijkstra kind of shell. Otherwise, very rarely, only a 5% of the shells are sinistral cells, where the opening of the mouth is towards the left side. The operculum. The snail can completely withdraw into the shell when disturbed and close the mouth by a very thin flat lid called as the operculum. Bone on its foot. Outer and inner side has the difference. So the columella is the central axis of the shell, which is hollow and twisted. It opens out below by a narrow aperture. The umbilicus shell with umbilicus is called as perforated or umbilicated shell. The shell opens out by a large lunate oblong aperture, the mouth. Margins of the mouth is called the peristome, and its entire region has two lips, concave inner lip or the columnar lip and a convex outer lip. Operculum. The snail can completely withdraw into the shell when disturbed and closes the mouth by a very thin flat lid. The operculum bone on its foot, outer and inner side is different. The histology of the shell. The shell is composed of following three layers: the outer periostracum, middle ostracum or prismatic layer, inner hypostracum or mother of pearl. The periostracum is thin, pigmented, homogeneous layer composed of a unicorn, a tanned horny protein material called as concline or conchine. It is protective in function. Ostracum is the thickest layer and is composed of alternate layers of calcium carbonate and concline. Running at the inner angle of the margins of the mouth of the shell, the hypostracum also consists similar alternate layers, but these layers run parallel to the margin of the mouth rather than a high angle in the ostracum. Apart from which, the body of pila is divided into the different regions, that is head, foot, visceral mass and the mantle. Whereas the head, there is a distinct head produced in a snout. The head bears two pairs of tentacles. The first pair of the tentacle or the labial palps are small and lie in front. Behind them there is a second pair of tentacles which are long. The tentacles are hollow and capable of much extension and contractions. Behind the tentacles, the head has a pair of eyes borne on stalk or also known as omatophores. The foot. Below the head is a large muscular foot. Its lower surface is grey and flattened. Sole. It is triangular with the apex pointing backward. It is used for creeping. Its upper surface is spotted and the dorsal posterior surface bears the operculum. When the foot is withdrawn, the operculum closes the mouth of the shell. In the foot is a pedal mucus gland which forms a slime trail during the locomotion. Waves of the contraction which sweep from the anterior to the posterior end of the foot provide the main power for the locomotion in Pila. In fact, the head and the foot together constitutes the head-foot complex, which is connected to the visceral mass by an inscopious neck. The visceral mass. Above the head-foot complex is a visceral mass containing the main organ. It fills all the whorls of the shell and it is spirally coiled like the shell. The visceral mass exhibits the phenomenon of torsion which is distinct from coiling. It is soft and grey to form dark brown in color. The mantle. The mantle is also referred to as the pallium, covers the visceral mass and it forms a hood over the animal when it is withdrawn. The edge of the mantle is thick and contain shells, gland which secrete the shell. Above the thickened edge there is a supramarginal groove. The mantle also shows two fleshy lobes called the nuchal lobe or the pseudopodia, which are joined on either sides of the head. The left pseudopodium forms a long tubular respiratory siphon for aerial respiration and a respiratory current enters through it. The right pseudopodium is less developed and not a regular tube. Respiratory currents pass through it. The mantle cavity and the pallial complex. In the anterior part, there is a large space between the mantle and the body. It is the mantle, or also called as the pallial cavity, which has been shifted to the front by a process of torsion. It encloses a number of organs and the head can be withdrawn into it. The mantle or pallial complex encloses within it a number of important organs which are collectively known as the pallial complex. Near the right pseudopodium is a prominent ridge or epithenia which runs backwards up to the end of the mantle cavity. It divides the mantle cavity into a right branchial cavity and a left pulmonary sac. In the branchial cavity or the chamber lie a single gill or ctenidium rectum and anus. The genital apertures and the anterior chamber of the kidney as a reddish mass near the posterior end of the epithenia. Near the left pseudopodium is a fleshy osphradium, a typical molluscan sense organ which serves as the check post. Thank you. We will have a break and then we will discuss the part 2, which will be dealing with the digestion and the respiratory system of Pila. Thank you.